Welcome back, everybody. Episode number 2, Pinkbike Academy, my personal review. Little inside behind the scenes. Let's check out episode 2. It's the first time we're actually racing on course in the event. Let's check it out.
Last time, 10 pro mountain bike hopefuls arrived at the Pinkbike Academy and were immediately put to the test with the bike build challenge.
Hey, this is my bike.
Ben crushed it and was awarded immunity from the first elimination.
Done.
We got Ben done. Unfortunately for Angie, she found herself at the bottom of the pack.
This is so frustrating.
This time, the racers will be put to the test once again with a one-stage enduro race down the mountain, but with a twist.
Push the pedal to the floor. In this game, we always more. You try to push me to my limit, but
Yeah, Vlad!
For part 2 of the first challenge, we want to see just how fast our contestants are with a one-stage race down Big White. The course will take the riders down trails like Hubba Bubba, Squirts, and Stacked Deck. While these aren't the hardest trails on the mountain, there are plenty of line options as well as opportunities to throw it all away. We don't want to make things too easy for these riders either. Once they get to the top of the climb, our resident prankster is going to stab their front tire, forcing them to fix a flat before heading to the races. Our judges this time are once again Christina Chapetta and Drew McKenzie. They're going to be looking at who stays calm and collected through the tire change, as well as who has the speed and technical ability in the race. Riders, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course.
My team this week is I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be, so I guess so, Jason.
Yes.
You'll notice my voice is a little funny there. So I've done a few tire changing competitions before, and I actually had my valve cap and my jam nut in my mouth at the beginning of the race. That way I wasn't fumbling around in my pocket or looking for them. I kind of always knew where they were. I pretty much kept everything I needed in my mouth just so it was always easily accessible. It's not the most sanitary thing in the world because stand sealant is not the tastiest thing and probably not the best for you, but I think it worked out pretty well. It went well, I think. We'll see.
As always.
3, 2, 1, go!
Vlad, gotta get the pump.
Oh my god, I
Pick
have
them up.
wheels.
Look good.
Tommy with
Go.
Right in there.
Let's.
Already, beat is off. Woo!
Pressure was on for this challenge. Challenge number 1 was a mechanical challenge. Changing a tube is also a mechanical challenge as well.
Nice.
Don't swallow it.
I won't.
Best skills to have when you change a tire. Probably be happy to get your hands dirty.
Oh, using rocks. Love it.
Oh, it's so slippery.
Bradshaw is like,
So when Vlad changed the tire, we had this crazy idea. We're like, how can we make this kind of fun and weird? So Vlad loves to take his shirt off. He is a mountain bike.
Quick note, as I said in the last episode, Vlad and I were roommates, so I really, really like antagonizing him in every way I possibly could. And I knew it would make the show pretty interesting, so this was pretty funny. I kind of got a bit of a tip from one of the production crew, like, hey, what if Vlad takes his shirt off? And automatically I was like, yes, that is 100% a good idea. So, without further ado,
Trade. First thing he does as soon as Jason says go, Vlad rips his shirt off, just all Greek goddess of him popping out.
Oh my goodness. Vlad going for style points.
and the judges definitely had no idea he was going to do that, so that was gold.
showing everybody what he's got, and might as well get some camera time if you can.
Yeah, how good. It's a bit of entertainment, isn't it?
No publicity is
He was
bad
waiting
publicity in
for
this
3
world.
days to do this, to show us his muscles, I think.
Oh, Vlad's body, yeah. Impressive.
I love it so much.
It's amazing.
Hi, my name is Vlad. I'm 23 years old and I'm from Russia. So I started riding around when I was 12 years old. Before that, I was a competitive swimmer. But then I discovered mountain biking and I started riding on really crappy bikes, and it was always destroyed. At some point, I went to St. Petersburg for my first Russian Cup, where I placed third on a destroyed hardtail. I immediately got a sponsorship by the biggest sponsoring team in Russia. I work as a fitness model, and I wouldn't say it's serious, but it's quick, it's fun. I love doing it. I'm kind of ready for anything. When I was coming here, I was like, whatever you're gonna give me, I'm just gonna do it.
Those few clips right there of him riding. For any of you out there that are questioning whether Vlad's here because he's big and muscular and has a loud personality, I think that right there shows you, like, Vlad can legitimately seriously ride a bike. Really did have a legitimate reason to be there besides just being a character. He is a big character. Also, that wasn't the only reason he was there.
Good, because as I said, I'm absolutely perfect.
Goes.
Oh, we got tools.
Ooh, using the terrain to her advantage.
Changing a tire, best skill to have, probably being able to roll the tire on and off and break the bead. The rest of it's pretty straightforward. I had to use a tire lever to get it on and off, so I guess I can't really speak.
Oh, don't worry. Using a tire lever to put a tire back on is unfortunately very risky. You take a risk of pinching the tube between the tire and the rim and creating a hole inside of the tube, therefore negating why you put the tube in the first place. You always try and put it on without a tool. These tires were extremely tight on the stand's rims. It was difficult, but fortunately,
it's only all
I
your
was able
fellow
to do it.
competitors watching.
I've done it a few times.
Show me those biceps.
Yes,
Yes, that's better. Yeah,
Nisha on the pump.
I usually have a lot of trouble getting the tire back on the bead, so...
You notice me like really pushing into the pump? That's because the pump is probably half of the time in changing a tire quickly. It's gonna be all down to the pump, especially on those pumps because they are such high pressure, low volume pumps. It took me probably 30 seconds to pump up the tire itself. It takes a long time with pumps.
So I was pretty like happy that I was able to get in like 30 seconds because sometimes it takes me up to an hour, so I was kind of scared coming into the competition with that.
Thanks. Nice.
Pump, Evan, pump! Short strokes.
Done.
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 Yeah.
Boom. Done.
Mighty.
Time.
Nice.
Time.
Time.
Julia, done.
Woo!
Evan, finishing up.
Done.
Evan's done.
Woo! Ooh, a little bloody there.
I struck blood.
Yeah. Dude, sacrificing for the cause.
Evan's such a character.
My name's Evan Wall. I'm 21 years old and from Revelstoke, BC. Biking started for me in Calgary, Alberta, just like jumping off curbs around the city and stuff, still on training wheels. And then my dad got me into BMX, and around 8 years old, I think, my dad was kind of like, well, why don't we try mountain biking? Slowly was like, yeah, BMX isn't nearly as fun as this. Got introduced to enduro and then been racing enduro pretty steadily since.
So this actually gives you an opportunity. Granted, that was the first day of riding when all that was taking place. We were on our first ride. But if you go back and watch Evan's time down that little section versus Vlad's time down that little section, and the way they ride it, it's completely different. And Vlad has a slight bit of advantage there. I don't know if it will turn into anything in racing later on, but that's just a really good comparison from like first day of riding, and also reiterating that Vlad is not just a pretty face. We had a real bromance on set. It was really cute. We had a good time. Roomy life.
It's around 14, 15 years old. The nerves haven't really kicked in yet. So far, it's just been like seeing old friends, meeting new friends. So it's been more exciting than nervous so far. It's not like this is just racing. Like if we were to go head-to-head racing, I think Ben would be my biggest competitor, but there's so much difference in like personality and everything that's being taken into consideration. So it's really hard to say how everything's gonna pan out.
Oh, my hair's gonna get covered.
I don't think he actually gets nervous for anything. He's just so chill, cool, calm, and collected.
To be nervous, I mean,
it was really cool to be around him.
And I've had a feeling a challenge like this was gonna be in the competition at some point. I was hoping I'd have a little bit more time because mechanics would be weakness, obviously, after my timing today. I knew I was gonna be the last one, it's okay.
Oh, yeah, nice one. Stance high five.
Pull. Stands on everything.
Nice.
You probably need a new tube.
Rip out that tube, find out for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
new tube time.
New tube.
I definitely feel a little bit on edge after this challenge. It definitely was not a time for me to really show my strengths. I'm not very good at like doing stuff on my own in terms of working on my bike.
Oh, now we're falling apart.
So that is a really good reason of why you try not to use tire levers.
Nice work, Nicole.
Because
Well done, time.
the tiny bit of time you save using a tire lever, if you do pinch that tube, completely gone out the window.
Oh my goodness. Best tire changer!
Down, time.
Joe's such a character.
I feel a bit nervous that like maybe I'm eliminated. But I also feel really happy that I was able to even do it. I'm Joe Peters, I'm from Squamish, and I'm 31 years old. When I was really young, like toddler age, I had a run bike, and I decided I would hop on it and ride down some concrete stairs, and I knocked all my front teeth out. So I was kind of not allowed to ride bikes when I was a kid. And then when
I've done that
I was 20, I got a road bike, became a bike courier. After that, moved to Squamish. I was kind of...
That's one of the things I was stoked to find out. Joe and I come from a similar background with the fixed gear, courier lifestyle. That was a really cool connection between the two of us. That was fun.
Told it that if you're a bike instructor that you'd get a free bike at Whistler. So, you know, pilgrimage to Whistler, got all my coaching and certifications, got the free bike, and kind of went from there. Up against the men, I'm not even gonna worry about it. In terms of the women, I think I'm in the right place.
Such
At the same time, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and I wouldn't say anyone's like really better than the other person. So I think on bike skill alone, I don't think that will be what makes me win.
Well, the second challenge today was a time stage. Well, I was joking. No, I don't know. The second challenge was a time run from the top of Big White to nearly the bottom. It was our first time run of the week in over a year. It was fun.
Tom is definitely one of the gnarliest dudes on set. Earlier this year, he did a full Everest worth of climbing on his enduro bike at home. Not home because he lives from New Zealand, but he's living at the North Shore. That was insane to hear about it. You actually probably saw it on Pinkbike a while ago. But he's also such a character. He's such a funny guy. Kept us in stitches all week. It was great to have Tom around.
Hi, Mom. I'm riding bike.
Hi, Mom. I'm riding bike.
I guess this is the first race that we've had. Like for me, it's been like 10 months. So there's definitely some nerves, and then it was a tight corner right off the bat. So not going full pin into it, and just trying to stay composed and smooth was definitely the goal for today.
One thing I was really bad about that everyone else said they did all the time was talking to the GoPro when you were racing. I never thought about it, and I really regret it now because I would have had some funny audio, I think. But cool. It happens. We can't all be perfect all the time. Good lines.
So I actually entered the course quite different than a lot of people. When I was up there getting a last-minute scope in, I saw a line that I thought was gonna work pretty well. The first corner on course is a super hard left-hander that's really loose, and if you go into it in a sprint, it's gonna be hard to actually catch that berm. I kind of slack in the berm area. So I actually cut straight across that berm.
Caveat here, I found out very early in the week that compared to the rest of the racers, I'm not very good at turns, so I did everything in my power the entire week to avoid berms. I can ride berms, like I'm okay with them. But compared to the other races, I realized very early on that that was not my strength in the Pinkbike Academy. So it's a continuing theme. I just kind of avoid them at all costs.
Berm and went down a rock ledge instead. It didn't work perfectly. I came out with my foot off, but I held it under control and was able to regain.
I'm still proud of that line. It worked exceptionally well, even after dropping my foot off. It was good. The rest of the course wasn't nearly as spectacular as that, but that one line worked out really well. If it saved me half a second, I'll take it. Missed the line. Missed the line.
Oh, that line.
Missed that line. At this point in time, we had only ridden that trail one time, so it was essentially a blind course, which I guess is pretty similar to enduro racing. A lot of times, there's not enough time to ride the course multiple times, so a lot of it's blind racing. But just as a note, that was mostly blind racing.
I was the last one to drop for this challenge. At first, I was pretty disappointed that I was going to be the last candidate bringing up the rear, but I thought about it logically. I think that it was to my advantage as well, because knowing that there were 9 riders ahead of me, then I knew that those lines would already be established. I'd be able to see brake lines, I'd be able to see cornering. And it wasn't enough, like 100 riders, that I was so worried about the trail being blown out. But I feel like it was to my advantage that I was able to drop in last.
It was a good line. So many small, minute, different lines that are hard to see until you're right on top of them on this trail. Like that little outside where you open up the berm.
Pretty diverse. You started, it was pretty rocky and narrow, rough, and then kind of go into some wider, fast stuff. There's one punchy climb in it with a super tricky right-hander. That got most of us, I think, and I was like right up in the tape trying to make it up it, but managed to.
What a legend. True legend hitting that climb. I tried and completely biffed it. Like Ben. Did basically what Ben just did. I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it.
The trails that we raced, the first one called Hubba Bubba, had a climb pretty close to the beginning of it, so I had to run up it. It was a steep part at the beginning and then kind of mellowed out, and then there was a few road sections that we had to like really pedal for the next section. They were either flat or even a bit uphill, so that's what made it really physical and just like everything throughout the stage, trying to focus.
So this section that you just saw, you'll see it a few more times in the video, I imagine, because it's a pretty, well, Drew's standing there, so obviously it's a pretty crucial section. There is probably 30 different ways to go through that section. We had only ridden it once. I blew it coming into that section. That section I rode pretty good, but coming into it, I blew it bad.
And it just added up to being really tiring. I'm Julia Long. I'm 20 years old and grew up in Whistler, BC. Started riding like as a young kid. Throughout high school, we had like little racing leagues, so I started racing then, and then I moved to XC racing doing Canada Cups. But then the past 2 years, I've moved to enduro. It's really different having like both genders like competing against each other, because usually you just race against women or men race against men. So kind of an interesting concept and like almost a different side of riding, because it's not just like against the clock, it's almost like who you are as a person versus your times and your skills. I would say one of my strongest skills is being consistent, but it could also bite me in the bone because sometimes I'll go a bit slower than I need to be and not putting on the full gas. My chances of winning Pinkbike Academy are pretty good, but it's hard to say just because of the different personalities and different riding types, so it can really go any way at this point.
Pendant l'événement Liquidation Totale, où le kick cesse pour l'équivalent.
Sometimes I'll go a bit slower than I need to be and not putting on the full gas. My chances of winning Pinkbike Academy are pretty good, but it's hard to say just because of the different personalities and different riding types, so it can really go any way at this point.
For some reason, I was the only one that ever wanted to wear their half shell. Everyone else wore their full faces all the time. I guess that's the difference. I don't know.
I had one major stuff up where I think I went down the chicken or the ride around, and then I decided, or I thought that it was the wrong.
This section, this is where I blew it too.
I stopped, pushed over to the main line, and then by the point I'd realised that I'd done that, I was like, oh, I could have just kept going the way I was going.
Yeah, so you can see all the different lines in there. It was a hard section to get right.
He thought he was outside the tape.
One big stuff up in front of the camera, so that'll be funny. But apart from that, it was all good. It was fun.
Brutal.
My name's Tom Bradshaw. I'm 27 years old, from Wellington, New Zealand. I started riding with my dad when I was super young. There's a funny photo, I think, of me on the back of his bike with this huge yellow helmet with my huge head wobbling around on the back of his mountain bike. So I've been doing it since I can remember.
Oh, that's gold.
New Zealand's awesome for mountain biking, but Canada's the holy grail. I remember watching so many mountain bike videos of BC in particular as a kid growing up, and always wanted to go. So last year I organised a visa.
Such a stud.
I'm now on a 2-year working visa and live in North Vancouver. What level am I in racing? It could be described from washed up through to active through to full-time racer. Depends what day of the week and what time of the year you kind of ask me. Yeah, I think if you're looking for a all-round person who loves riding bikes and racing bikes, then I'll be good.
Character.
Jump up in the middle of the jam with no plan. What's up? You always acting like you got it different. You always acting so damn reckless. When you gonna stop and think about the fact that eventually it's gonna be you up on the stretch. The pressure, cause your whole world changed.
Look at the lines.
He took the furthest inside line. Nice and smooth through the roll, so shortest line overall. Handled the rolls and rocks along the way, and then exited with pretty good speed. Definitely fastest woman so far.
What the hell?
So on course today, there were a couple sections that were multi-lane choice. There wasn't like a clear fastest line, and I think I went completely off course. There was a really fast section that you were going through, and all of a sudden it took a weird kind of dive to the left, and I missed the dive to the left. Definitely was not what I would say was the recommended.
That's the section I was talking about. Let's go back a second. So
on course today, there were a couple sections that were multi-lane choice. There wasn't like a clear fastest line, and I think I went completely off course. There was a really fast section that you were going.
So here there's like, you can see it, there's like furthest left, there's a midline, there's two outer lines. I definitely went the longest way around. I don't know if it was fast. I don't think it was fast, but it was smooth.
And all of a sudden it took a weird kind of dive to the left, and I missed the dive to the left. Definitely was not what I would say was the recommended race line.
He was moving really quick through there, but he caught at the last second and went through at the last possible entry into the sort of inside lines. I think that was the fastest.
I'm glad Drew thinks so. Oh, there comes Evan. I think Evan was the fastest. He was ripping on that. Come on, Misha. Nice.
I was trying to go a bit slower because I did not want to crash, although I did crash, but I just slipped on the really slippery gravel road.
I was trying to take nice lines.
That corner was
a lot of the
so
times
brutal.
I didn't see the lines until the last
I rode this
second, so-
entire straight unclipped because my foot came off sliding around that corner. Squirts.
Nice.
Amazing section, of course.
Yeah, boy.
But now you know, like, you know that you're not feeling
She's all
normal,
good.
so you know how to work with it a little bit.
Feeling so
It's been 8 minutes.
And I like
Julia
almost
came
didn't
at
come 'cause I was,
45,
like,
I think.
feeling so
Oh,
shit.
shoot.
And then like
Yeah, well, like any race, right? Particularly when you know the start order and you know who's going to be coming down when, and then when they don't turn up, like I think 8 minutes had passed since Nicole started, so she should have been somewhere between like 4 and 6, I thought.
But like Angie would find her, right? Like if she.
You always kind of get worried that someone's hurt themselves and crashed, and then Angie hadn't come down yet either, so that kind of, in my head, I kind of jumped to the conclusion that, oh, Angie was up there with her, looking after her.
How long
There she
ago?
is. You!
That's Angie. That's Angie.
Yeah, at this point we were all pretty legitimately nervous.
hopefully not. Hopefully we can't go over injured.
Ending ones, then it's
Oh,
easy.
heartbreak.
Yeah, Nicole!
Just a case of bad luck for Nicole, unfortunately. She really shreds so hard. She's such an epic rider.
Yeah, buddy. Aw, when did that happen?
Oh. I haven't seen it yet. When did it happen? Oh,
That's
brutal.
really unfortunate. Okay.
That was super high on course. That was before the first climb. Big
All right, guys,
unfortunate.
Hell of a first day on the mountain. Flat tire challenge, followed immediately by a race. Who were the standouts?
Certainly with racing and the flat tire challenge, I think it's pretty tight between Ben and Evan.
And so, in challenge number 1, we saw Angie at the bottom of the pack. Clearly, she was a little bit thrown for a loop with that. What happened to her today?
Angie crushed it. Just seeing her like super cool, composed, last one to drop, really smooth, and she had the fastest time of the women today, so I think that speaks highly of her for sure.
So who were the disappointments for today?
Not so much disappointing, but there's some, well, there's a flat tire during the race and some struggling on the flat tire challenge. Near the bottom of things, looking at Vlad, Michaela, and Nicole.
So we have our bottom riders. Do we know who's going home?
Yep, I'd say so.
Yeah, unfortunately.
All right, I'll go tell him.
I think Vlad went a little too slow on. He said that he was taking it pretty conservative on his race run. And judging by the short videos that we saw of him, I know he has more in it than that. I hope that doesn't come back to bite him, because he definitely slowed down a lot more than I think he should have on those. Did pretty well on the tire change, though.
2 challenges deep at the Pinkbike Academy. How's everyone feeling?
Good.
Good.
Who's uncomfortable right now?
I'm on the edge of being nervous about elimination. I don't think I will be eliminated because I think so far I've been like floating in the middle of the
I think
pack.
we were all
Well,
pretty
let's get
nervous at
started.
this point in time.
Evan, can you please take a step forward?
Only 1 or 2 people were like, yeah, I aced everything.
Evan?
Yeah.
Today, you took the top time in the men's category and crushed the tire change challenge.
So fast.
Very well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So fast.
When Evan got called for the fastest rider, I saw Ben's heart sink a little bit. Ben is an extremely talented mountain biker, but I did see it in his eyes like, oh, I'm not okay with that. Ben's competitive, and that's gonna that's gonna stir some pots later on.
So that was pretty genuine. Like when Ben's face when Evan got called as the fastest rider, definitely you could see some irritation in him. I don't know if he said he held back a little bit on course, so maybe he was regretting doing that. We were all pretty aware that time was not the most important or the only factor in today's race. They made that very clear from the start that it was about more than just pure speed. So we're all being a little cautious because we didn't want to break our bikes. That was one thing they were really critical on, is if you ripped a derailleur hanger off or you broke a derailleur or flat tire. They were really critical on that throughout the entire week. So today I think we all took it a little conservative on the riding, and I think Ben might have been regretting how conservative he rode. That's just speculation, but I could definitely see it in his eyes that he wanted that fastest time. Very competitive, but he can also back it up, so he's got a reason to be.
Angie, please take a step forward. Now, as you know, you're at the bottom of the pack for the bike build challenge.
Yeah, there's a few sloppy things that I'm not entirely happy with, but I definitely feel like I completed my tube change pretty quickly. I'm happy with that.
However, you totally redeemed yourself today by placing first in the women's category during the race and also crushing the tire change challenge. You are safe.
Ripping Angie's heart out day after day. They just kept doing it. I think she got called out in front of everybody every day. She was just on edge every day going into eliminations. It was brutal.
Misha, Nicole, please take a step forward. The judges tallied the results from the bike build challenge, the tire change challenge, and the race. And unfortunately, Nicole, your time at the Pinkbike Academy has come to an end.
Okay. I love biking, obviously. It's what brought me out of a lot of challenges in my life. But so stoked I got to have this experience and know that I have more potential than I thought I did. I have such a good time, even though it was short and sweet with everyone, and learn a lot about having a brand new bike and all of the kinks and like pressure and stress. And I don't know if I'll have a second chance, but I'm happy to be here.
And just like that, 10 riders.
First elimination was brutal. None of us knew what to expect. It was absolutely brutal. That was probably the hardest one to watch go down. Because it was the first one of the week. It was just like, oof, brutal. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in to my explanation behind the scenes at Pinkbike Academy 2020. If you haven't already, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and come back next week because we'll have more for episode 3 of the Pinkbike Academy 2020. My name's Addison Zawada. Thank you so much for hanging out. Peace.